Welcome to the Happy City Index Researcher Training. In this program, we focus on the concept of sustainable urban development with a focus on the happiness of current and future generations. A truly happy city is one that listens to all its residents, children, students, workers, and elders, and strives to create an environment where everyone can thrive today without compromising the needs of tomorrow. Our mission is to celebrate and support the cities that turn this vision into daily reality. By joining this initiative, you are contributing to a global effort to improve quality of life and well-being in cities around the world. Thank you for being part of this ambitious project exploring how cities can grow better, fairer, and happier. The Happy City Index, Scope and Structure. The index is structured into 6 themes, 26 areas, and 82 indicators. These 6 overarching themes are citizens, governance, environment, economy, health, and mobility. Each theme covers several areas of city policy, 26 in total. For example, the citizens theme includes areas like education and culture. Governance covers civic participation and transparency. Environment includes natural resource management and pollution control. Within these areas are the 82 specific indicators we use to measure a city's performance. Each indicator is clearly defined in our data entry platform with a description of what it measures and how it correlates with residents' happiness. For instance, indicators range from access to public libraries to air quality levels, employment rates, mental health support, green transport usage, and dozens more. Importantly, the index does not directly measure individual citizens' personal happiness. Instead, it measures how city policies and conditions can influence the well-being and happiness of residents. In other words, we assess the factors cities can manage or impact, such as public services, environmental quality, community engagement, and safety, which collectively create an environment where happiness is more likely. One notable evolution of our framework is the inclusion of a new theme, health. In the 2025 edition, for the first time since the index's inception, we introduced health as a standalone theme. This 6th category was added to reflect the growing recognition that aspects like mental health, public safety, nutrition, and work-life balance are fundamental to urban happiness. The health theme encompasses indicators such as access to mental health support, crime rates and safety, obesity and nutrition levels, immunization coverage, and work-life balance metrics. By adding health, the index now captures a more holistic picture of what makes a city a healthy and happy place to live. All these themes and indicators together form the Happy City Index's data collection framework. Don't worry, you will not have to memorize all 82 indicators right now. Our online data entry panel provides a user-friendly guide. Each indicator comes with an explanation of its meaning and why it matters for happiness, so you will have context as you gather data. This structure ensures that as a researcher you understand why each piece of data is needed and how it fits into the bigger picture of urban well-being. City selection and research process for 2026. For the upcoming 2026 edition of the Index, we have significantly expanded our scope. In previous editions, we analysed around 1,600 cities worldwide. For 2026, we increased the number of cities considered to roughly 3,500. This broad list included cities of all sizes, regions, and contexts. The index is open to every city in the world, regardless of continent or governance system, and even cities in countries facing conflict are not excluded from consideration. From this global pool, we then selected just over 900 cities for detailed analysis in the open data collection stage. The selection was based on transparent criteria, ensuring data reliability, comparability, and credible sources. In fact, we applied 4 objective filters related to last year's data verification, city population, share of national population, and a limit per country to decide which cities would be included. The aim was to expand our coverage significantly while maintaining methodological rigor and fairness across different regions. To illustrate the inclusion philosophy, if we had reliable data for at least one city in a country last year, this year we included all sizable cities from that country for analysis. If a country was entirely missing previously, we at least included the capital city this time, since capitals often have the most accessible data. We generally focus on cities above 100,000 population for the open data stage, and ensure a balanced representation by capping the number of cities per country, so that very large countries don't overwhelm the index with too many cities. Smaller cities not meeting these criteria still have other ways to join the index, such as by submitting their own data or requesting an on-site assessment. So ultimately, every city has a chance to be part of the Happy City Index. Having identified the approximately 900 plus target cities, we are now entering the open data collection stage for the 2026 index. Countless dedicated volunteer researchers around the world, including you, are driving this stage of data collection, united by a shared commitment to building cities where present and future generations can truly thrive. Over the next weeks, you will be gathering information about your assigned city across all 82 indicators. Data collection starts now and will run roughly until January 2026. During this period, you will research and input data, and our team will be on hand for support or clarification. After the collection window closes in January, we move into the analysis and verification phase. We will compile and crunch the data from all researchers, carefully review any flagged issues, and prepare the final index results. Publication of results. Mark your calendar. The final results of the Happy City Index 2026 will be published on March 20th, 2026, the International Day of Happiness. This is a symbolic and ideal day to share our findings with the world. On that day, we will release the full ranking of cities, along with an analytical report discussing the insights and trends we discovered. The report will highlight top-performing cities, notable improvements, and examples of effective policies that promote urban happiness. If you opted to be acknowledged, and we hope you did, your name will appear in the report and on our website as one of the contributing researchers in recognition of your invaluable work. The Happy City Index is more than just a list of cities. It's a tool to inspire city leaders and communities. The data and report you help create will be shared worldwide and could reach city mayors, urban planners, national leaders, and policymakers. Data quality principles, reliability, and integrity. As a Happy City Index researcher, adhering to our data quality principles is paramount. We have a set of core guidelines to ensure the data is reliable, comparable, and credible. We only use data that we trust, meaning it comes from a reputable source, is defined in a way that allows fair comparison between cities, and can be quantified or verified. If you encounter an indicator where data for your city is missing, outdated, or not reliable, it's okay to leave it blank or indicate the lack of data. We do not force every city to have a value for every indicator if the data simply isn't available or trustworthy. In such cases, we prefer to omit that data, or even omit the city from the final ranking if too many indicators are missing, rather than use questionable figures. We would rather face criticism for leaving a city out than for publishing incorrect or false data. Quality over completeness is our motto. An index is only as good as the credibility of its data. While the index will produce rankings, we stress that this is not about crowning one single happiest city in the world in an absolute sense. We do not believe it is fair to declare one city as the happiest place on Earth. Happiness is multifaceted, and what works in one city may not directly translate to another. Instead, we acknowledge that there is a group of top-performing cities, all of whom excel in cultivating conditions for happiness. For this reason, our results highlight a gold tier of cities, a collection of the highest scoring cities. In the 2025 index, the top 31 cities were designated gold. These gold cities are celebrated not because one is the champion and others are runners-up, but because all of them have demonstrated outstanding commitments to policies and solutions that enhance quality of life. As the index report itself noted, there is no single perfect place to live that guarantees happiness for all its residents. However, some cities implement urban policies with remarkable wisdom, and their results are clearly reflected in the data. In other words, many cities can be leaders in happiness. Our ranking will also include silver and bronze tiers for other groups of cities, because people do love rankings. But we always remind our audience that the goal is learning and improvement, not competition. The gold group exists to showcase exemplars and inspire others, rather than to claim an official happiest city on the planet. We value your privacy and objectivity. We never publicly disclose which researcher analyzed which particular city. The work you do will be credited collectively, but we won't, for example, publish City X was researched by John Doe. This policy protects researchers from any potential pressure or inquiries from external parties about specific findings. If you personally choose to share or publicize the cities you worked on, that's completely up to you. We have no objection to you mentioning your role, but officially, the index keeps researcher city pairings confidential, so you can feel free to investigate and report data candidly, without fear that the city's officials or anyone else will know it was you who reported a low number or a critical gap. It also means all researchers' contributions are appreciated as part of a team effort, rather than placing credit or blame on individuals for particular city results. Another strict rule we follow is never disclosing the specific sources of information or data in our published outputs. In the data collection form, we will ask you to provide the source, link or reference for each data point so that we internally can verify it. However, those source links remain internal. They are not published in the final index or shared publicly. The rationale is twofold. First, we often obtain information through direct correspondence with city officials or via internal documents. We might send formal requests for data to a City Hall employee or receive information that isn't openly posted online. We treat these communications as confidential. For example, if a city official provided data via email, we would not want to publish their name or email as the source. Second, by not publishing sources, we avoid any political issues if a certain data point is sensitive. The index's role is to present the outcomes and insights, not to point fingers at which report or person provided a given number. Rest assured, we rigorously verify that every piece of data comes from a credible place, but once verified, the numbers speak for themselves in the report. In short, sources are for our internal verification and your reference, not for public disclosure. So, when entering data, always include the source for us, but know that it stays in our database only. These principles ensure the integrity, fairness, and credibility of the Happy City Index. By following them, we uphold a high standard. All data is trustworthy, comparisons are apples to apples, and the focus remains on constructive insights rather than any city feeling targeted or misrepresented. Keep these guidelines in mind throughout your research work. the researcher's role and data validation process. Our approach relies on trust and collaboration with our researchers around the globe. We empower you to collect data because we believe local or knowledgeable researchers can find information that might be missed otherwise. We truly appreciate the time and effort you are volunteering to gather data for your city. At the same time, we have checks in place to maintain accuracy and consistency across the project. Here is what to expect in terms of data validation after you submit your research. We know that all researchers have their own perspectives. Some of you might even be passionate about your city, which is great. However, a friendly caution: being a proud local patriot can sometimes unconsciously bias what information you highlight. For example, one might be tempted to focus on positive statistics while overlooking negative ones. To safeguard against any inadvertent bias, once the data collection phase is over, our team enters a validation phase. In the validation phase, we will randomly select certain data points from each researcher's submissions to verify their accuracy. Typically, each researcher may be asked to double-check about 10 data points from 10 different cities, not from the one you originally researched. This means you might be contacted with a small assignment in early 2026 to validate some data that someone else collected. Don't worry, this will be a brief task. For instance, confirming the population of a city or the latest unemployment rate from a source. Similarly, some of the data you submitted will be randomly assigned to other researchers for cross-checking. The process is double-blind. You will not know who originally entered the data you're asked to check, nor will another researcher know that the data they are checking came from you. By having multiple eyes on the information, we ensure obvious errors or misinterpretations are caught. If discrepancies are found, our core team will review and decide how to resolve them, which source is more credible, or if further clarification is needed. Our central analytical team will also go through all submissions. We use automated scripts to flag outliers or missing values and then manually review those cases. For instance, if one city has a dramatically high figure that doesn't seem to match the country context, we might investigate further. This is not to question your work, but simply a quality control to catch any potential mistakes, like a typo or a misunderstanding of units. We treat all our researchers with trust and respect. We know you are doing your best, and these checks are in place to support you and ensure the final product is bulletproof. Using the data entry platform, JotForm. Now, let's walk through how you will actually enter the data you collect. We use an online form built on the JotForm platform as our data entry portal for the Happy City Index. This form is the central place where you will input all the information for your assigned city. Here are the key things to know about using the form. You should have received a link to the data entry form along with a password or instructions to log in. The form is not publicly open. It's accessible only to our team and researchers via that link. To begin, you will need to log in with your email address. We do not create a special account for you. Instead, you'll use your own email to identify yourself on the platform. This is important for a couple of reasons. 1, it allows you to save your progress and resume later. And 2, it ties your submissions to you so we can keep track of who is responsible for which data. The JotForm platform does not autosave your responses continuously. That means you must actively save your work as you go. At the bottom of the form, there is a Save button. Use it frequently. Whenever you have filled in a substantial amount of data or are about to take a break, click Save. You will be prompted to enter your email, if not already logged in, and the platform will then send you a personal link via email to resume your session later. This way, you won't lose your work if you close the browser or have to shut down your computer. It's a good practice to save at least once per session to avoid any loss of data due to a browser crash or network issue. Privacy of your drafts. While you are still entering data and saving progress, but before hitting submit, we, the central team, cannot see your partial entries. Your form responses are private to you until you decide to submit the completed form. So feel free to take your time, revisit answers, and make corrections. We only receive the data once you finalize and click the Submit button at the very end. At that point, the entire form's content is sent to our database. Prior to submission, it's essentially your private workspace. Using the link emailed to you after saving, you can return to your form any time to continue working. You can also log into Jotform with your email to see your saved drafts. Many researchers find it convenient to gather data over several days and fill in the form gradually. For example, you might fill in some indicators today, save, then come back tomorrow to continue. This is absolutely fine. The platform is designed to let you pick up where you left off. Only click Submit when you have finished entering all the data you can for the city. Once submitted, you won't be able to edit that form anymore without our intervention. If after submitting you realize you made a mistake, you'd have to contact us to unlock it or submit a correction. So it's better to submit when you're confident you have your final answers in place. In summary, the Jotform data portal is your friend. It's a structured, secure way to deliver the data to us. Just remember to log in with your email, save often, and keep your saved form link handy via your email. We designed this process to be flexible for you while also ensuring we get the information in a consistent format. Finding and citing data sources. One of your main tasks as a researcher is to find the best possible data sources for each indicator for your city. Let's discuss how to go about sourcing data and the do's and don'ts. Primary data sources. We strongly recommend starting with official and authoritative sources. These include government and municipal websites. City government portals often have statistics or annual reports. For example, city budgets, transportation stats, crime rates, environmental reports. Many cities have an open data portal where numerous datasets can be downloaded. National statistical offices or government ministries for health, education, etc. can also have city-level data in their publications. For instance, a National Census Bureau might have population and housing data for cities, or a Ministry of Environment might publish air quality statistics by city. Some countries aggregate data in one place. These can be treasure troves for indicators like demographics, economic indicators, or infrastructure metrics. Also consider international databases. For example, the World Health Organization or World Bank might have city-level data for certain metrics, though not always. They often focus on national data, but big cities sometimes appear. Statistical yearbooks and reports. Many cities or countries publish yearly statistical yearbooks or reports which include a variety of indicators. These can be useful to get multiple data points from one source. For example, a city might publish an annual quality of life report, or a country might have a yearbook that includes city-wise breakdowns for key stats. Academic or research publications. In some cases, universities or research institutes may have done studies on city indicators like urban air quality comparisons or public transport efficiency studies. These can serve as sources if they're reputable. However, be cautious. Ensure the data is up to date and clearly applicable to the indicator in question. Direct inquiries, freedom of information. If needed, you can formally contact the city administration for specific information. Many jurisdictions have laws on access to public information, sometimes known as FOI, Freedom of Information requests. Under such laws, for example in the European Union and numerous other countries, Any person has the right to request data from public institutions, and the city is obliged to respond, typically within a set time frame. If your city's data for a certain indicator is not readily available online, you are allowed to send an official email or letter to the City Hall asking for it. We leave it to your judgment whether to identify yourself as an HCI researcher or simply as someone interested in the city. Sometimes mentioning the project may encourage cooperation. Other times, if you sense the city might be defensive about comparisons, it may be easier to ask as someone interested in urban development. Either approach is fine. The key is to get the information if it's publicly available. If you do get data this way, that's great. Just remember our rule that we don't publish the source, so any correspondence remains internal. News outlets and press releases. Occasionally, local news sites or press releases can have useful data. For example, a news article might mention the launch of a new policy with some statistics. City unemployment drops to X% this year, officials say. Treat these carefully. Whenever possible, trace the statistic back to an official report that the news might be referencing. If not, and you trust the news source, you can use it, but always prefer primary sources over secondary reporting. When entering any data, please remember that each field also includes a question about the year the information refers to. In our research, we aim to use the most recent data available, ideally from 2025, or if not yet released, from 2024. If newer data cannot be found, please include the latest available figure and specify clearly which year it represents. This consistency across years helps us maintain accuracy and comparability between cities. Always make sure the year you note corresponds exactly to the dataset or document you used. Using AI tools, our friendly guidance. We genuinely recommend using modern tools like ChatGPT or other AI assistants to speed up scoping, discovery, and summarizing. We're fans ourselves. Feel free to use them as a starting point, for example, to ask, what's the population of City X and where might the latest data be found? Or which sources usually publish key economic indicators for City Y? To keep the index robust, we simply ask that every figure in the form comes from a verifiable, authoritative source. Treat AI answers as signposts, not final evidence. Follow the lead to the original document, dataset, or official page, and check the details there. In short, use AI to work smarter, we encourage it, and then confirm the facts at the source. This balance lets you benefit from AI's speed while ensuring the data we publish is dependable. Staying safe and smart. Our research spans every country, including those where data can be scarce or government transparency is low. In some cities, information might not be published openly. In some extreme cases, even asking questions could draw unwanted attention if local authorities are very sensitive. Your safety comes first. The project is designed so that all data collection can be done using publicly available online information. We never want you to feel you must do something risky to obtain data. If you are researching a city in a country with restricted information and you cannot find a certain data point from safe public sources, do not pursue it further if it could put you at risk. For example, if a city is in a conflict zone or under a regime that doesn't allow free information, it's understood that some or even most of the indicators will remain blank. If no reliable public data exists for a metric, or if hunting for it is unsafe, just let it go and inform us. This ties back to our data principle. We will exclude that data, or even the city if too much is missing, from the final results if necessary. We'd rather omit a city for lack of data than include something that puts anyone in danger or is based on shaky ground. Some cities or governments are simply not ready yet to be transparent. That's a finding in itself, and hopefully our project will encourage better data practices in the future. If, despite all efforts, you struggle to find data for your city on many indicators, do not be discouraged. Just do your best and fill in what you can. At the end of the form, there is a comments section. You can mention the challenges you had or which indicators you suspect the city truly lacks data for. We have an algorithm and a review process to assess partial data submissions. If a city's data is too incomplete or only from unreliable sources, we may decide to exclude it from the published index for this year. This isn't a failure, it's an important outcome that highlights data gaps. And if that happens, it's on us as the coordinators to communicate why. So always prioritize quality of sources over quantity of filled fields. If in doubt, leave it blank and make a note for us. Recap on sources. Government portals, open data sites, official statistics, and direct city info are your go-to sources. Use FOI requests or direct emails if needed. You can supplement with academic or news sources if they're credible. Tools like ChatGPT can help you search, but never trust them blindly. Verify everything and cite the real source. And above all, keep yourself safe. Do your research within the realm of publicly available information. Overcoming research challenges, potential problems and solutions. Working on a project of this scale can present a few challenges. It's normal to encounter obstacles. What matters is how we address them. Let's discuss some common issues researchers face and our suggested solutions. Challenge: lack of data for certain indicators. What if you just cannot find data for a specific indicator in your city? If data is missing despite your best efforts, you can leave that field empty. In the comments section, let us know which indicators are missing data and any notes. Submit the form with whatever you have gathered. Our team will review partial submissions. We have methods to work with incomplete data. Sometimes we estimate or use country medians to fill gaps for analysis purposes, but we have limits to ensure quality. Not all cities with missing data will be excluded. If you filled, say, 90% of the fields and only a few are blank, we might still include the city in the final index, possibly using estimations for those few gaps. However, if more than, for example, half the data is missing, likely that city won't make it into the published ranking. In any case, do not make up data or use poor quality sources just to fill a field. It's perfectly acceptable in this research to acknowledge that certain data aren't available. That sends a message in itself that the city needs better data transparency in that area. Fatigue or feeling overwhelmed. The form has a lot of questions, 82 indicators, and gathering all this information can feel daunting or tiring. Remember, you don't have to do it all in one sitting. It typically takes 3 to 5 days of concentrated work to gather a full set of data for one city. That's an estimate from our experience. It is a lot, but spread it out. Take breaks to avoid burnout. If you find yourself getting fatigued by the process, pause and resume later. We highly encourage maintaining a separate notes document or spreadsheet. Some researchers copy the questions and fill answers in an Excel file or a Word doc as they find them, then transfer to the form. This way, you have a backup and it might be easier to see everything in one view. Also, if you ever feel stuck or demotivated, reach out to us. We're a team, and we can provide encouragement and clarification. Sometimes hosting a quick virtual meetup or chat among researchers can help everyone feel re-energized. We understand volunteer work has to fit around your other commitments, so it's okay to pace yourself. Conflicting or divergent data. You find 2 different values for what seems to be the same indicator. For example, the city's website says the population is 1.2 million, but a national statistical site says 1.1 million. or two sources report different unemployment rates due to different years or definitions. This is a common occurrence. Data can differ based on year or measurement method. First, check the dates. Ensure you are comparing the same year. If one source is older, prefer the newest data. Also, check definitions. Does one unemployment figure include suburban areas? Is one population figure just the city proper and another the metro area? Ideally, we want the city proper as defined administratively, but use your judgment and any guidance given in the indicator description. If after careful consideration one source appears more official or reliable, go with that one. When in doubt, you can also write a note in the comments section explaining the discrepancy. We will see that and can adjust if needed, but generally pick the figure that you believe is most credible and fits the indicator's definition. If the question is latest population of the city and City Hall gave one number in a press release but the national census has another, the national census is likely more rigorously obtained, but also consider recency. If the census was 5 years ago and the city claims a current estimate might actually reflect recent growth. There's nuance, but do your best. Minor differences won't drastically affect the index if they're small, but try to avoid any glaring mistakes like mixing up units or including metro versus city data incorrectly. You can always double-check with us if unsure. Technical issues with the form. What if the JotForm platform misbehaves? Last year, we noticed occasional glitches, especially when researchers handled a very large number of cities or took a very long time on one form. A known issue was that if too much time passed, the session could time out, or sometimes the save feature acted up if many fields were filled across sessions. We have worked to fix those bugs for this year, and we expect the form to function smoothly, even for large data input. However, to be safe, maintain your own backup of the data externally. You might use an Excel sheet or a Word document to compile answers, or even a notebook if you prefer pen and paper, whatever works for you. The idea is that if anything were to happen, you haven't lost all the information you worked so hard to find. In the unlikely event you experience a technical problem, contact us and we will work to resolve it. But prevention is best. Always keep a copy of your findings until you've successfully submitted the form, and maybe even until the project concludes, just in case we need to follow up. New commitments or needing to step down. Life happens. Perhaps you took on this volunteer task and then an unexpected workload or personal matter arises, making it hard to continue. Or you realize you underestimated the time required and can't finish. Communication is key. If you find yourself in a position where you cannot complete the research for your city, please inform us as soon as possible. We understand everyone here is contributing their free time, and sometimes priorities shift. Our only request is that you let us know early so that we can reassign the city to someone else. The worst scenario for us is when a researcher goes silent and we only discover a city's data was never completed at the very end. That could jeopardize that city's inclusion. So we greatly appreciate honesty. If you feel you might not make it, tell us and we will find a solution, whether that's extending your deadline, providing help, or transferring the task. No city will be left without a guardian. We owe it to the cities that have been selected to ensure they're covered, and we owe it to you to not overstress you if it's not feasible. We're all in this together for a positive outcome. By anticipating these challenges and knowing the solutions, we hope you feel more prepared. Remember, whenever an issue arises, you are not alone. Reach out. Our team is always an email away for direct queries. It might take us some time to reply, but we will get back to you as soon as possible with guidance. Completing the data submission. As you work through the form, you'll notice it's organized logically from general info to specifics. Let's outline the structure so you're familiar. The form begins with a section about you, the researcher. We ask for your name and contact details. This isn't shared publicly, it's purely for internal record keeping. It helps us later if we need to verify data or ask any follow-up questions about your entries. It's also how we will match the submitted data to our list of researchers, ensuring we credit you properly in the acknowledgements if you chose to be acknowledged. Next, there will be fields for basic city information, such as the city name, the country, and perhaps some contextual data. There is also a short section for country-level data. This might surprise you since our focus is on cities, but a few of our indicators or comparisons require knowing the national context. For example, comparing city versus national averages on certain metrics. Thus, we ask for some key country indicators, like the national average of X for comparison. If your city is, say, London, we might ask for the UK's overall number for a couple of things to benchmark. These country-level questions are usually fewer and often easier to find, since national statistics are readily published. Do fill those in as well, using reliable sources, national government or international databases. After the introductory parts, the form continues with the main analytical section. This is where you'll find all the indicators that make up the Happy City Index. Each indicator entry includes a short description explaining what it measures and why it matters, the field for data entry, where you provide the relevant number or information, and a field for the source of information, where you include the link or reference confirming the data. This structure helps you clearly understand the purpose of each indicator and ensures that all data you provide is consistent and verifiable. It's designed so you read the description, understand what to find, then input the answer and where you found it. Both the answer and the source are crucial. For example, an indicator might be annual mean PM10 air pollution level. You would then enter the numeric value, say 18.5, and in the source field perhaps a link to the Environment Ministry page that published that statistic. The source of information field is just as important as the data itself. Always provide a reference for your data. Ideally, this is a URL link to the exact page or document where you obtained the figure. If the source is an offline document or something not linkable, provide enough detail, like Statistical Yearbook 2023, City Council, page 45. But in most cases, you'll have a link. Ensure the link you provide is a direct and credible source. It should not be a Google search link or a generic search engine result page. It should also not be a link to an AI chat result. It needs to be the actual website where the data is presented or a direct PDF link. If you used a PDF report, you might even attach it at the end, but still put the reference info in the source field, like the title of the report and year, and if possible a link to where that report can be accessed. This source field is what our team will use to verify the numbers, so it should be clear and pointing to the right information. Why so strict on sources? Because as discussed, we do not publish them, but we must be able to audit and trust each entry. It also hugely speeds up our validation if we can click a link and see the number in context. If a source is missing or looks questionable, we have to chase it down, which delays things. For numeric entries, follow the units or currency asked. If it's a financial figure, always enter it in the local currency of the city's country, unless the form specifies otherwise. Do not convert it to USD or euros yourself. For example, if the question is city's annual health budget and your city is in Japan, give the figure in Japanese yen. We will later handle converting all currencies to a common baseline for comparison. By providing local currency, you avoid confusion and ensure accuracy relative to local sources. Pay attention to units. If the indicator description says per 1,000 residents and your source gives a per 100,000 figure, adjust it or make a note. Check those zeros. A common data entry error is misplacing a decimal or adding 1 zero too many, writing 1 million instead of 100,000 or vice versa. For instance, 10.0 versus 100 are very different values, as are 7,000 versus 70,000. After you fill a number, take a second to verify it's in the right magnitude. The form might have some built-in validation, like not accepting letters in a numeric field or requiring a percentage to be 0 to 100. But it won't catch everything, so self-check is important. At the very end of the form, there is an option to upload a file attachment. This is there in case you have supporting material that you think is necessary to include. For example, you might have a screenshot of a table from a website behind a login, or a scanned letter from a city official, or an Excel file of raw data. Before you upload, consider if it's truly needed. Our analysis primarily relies on the numbers you enter and the source links. We will only look at attachments if something is unclear or if we're missing context. Given that we have nearly 1,000 cities and a limited time to evaluate everything, reviewing dozens of attachments per city would be overwhelming. That's why we ask to use attachments only as a last resort. If a data source is likely to disappear from the web, or is a static image, or if a source is not in English and you had to translate something, you might attach the original. If you do attach files, please name them in a clear manner. A good practice is to label them as Attachment 1, Attachment 2, and then in the comment box in the form, list those attachments with a brief description. This helps us quickly identify what we're looking at. But again, only attach if necessary. Otherwise, the source link in the field is enough. At the very end of the form, you will also find a comments section. If you wish to provide additional explanations, it's best to write your comments first in a separate text file and then paste the complete version into the comment box. Please keep your notes concise and structured, referring directly to the specific indicators, figures, or datasets they concern. This makes verification faster and clearer. Once you believe you have as complete a dataset as possible for your city, it's time to finalize. It's wise to do a final review of all entries. Scroll through the form or your backup document and check. Did you answer every question you could? It's okay if some are blank due to no data, but just ensure it wasn't an oversight. Are the answers sensible and in the correct format? Are all the source links provided and working? Click them to be sure they actually open the intended page. If something was particularly tricky and you want us to know, did you write a note in the comments at the end? When you're satisfied, submit the form by clicking the Submit button. You should get a confirmation message that it was received. Congratulations, your data will be in our system. After submission, our team might reach out if we have any clarifications. For example, if a source isn't accessible or a number looks off. And of course, as described earlier, you might also be contacted to help validate some other data later. As you finish, remember that very few cities will have absolutely everything perfectly reported. We have mechanisms to handle partial data. Our goal is to include as many cities as possible in the final index, provided the data quality is high, even if a few pieces are missing. We often compute median values or use statistical models to estimate missing values when necessary, especially if a city lacks only a small portion of the indicators. However, there is a threshold. If too many indicators are missing, the city might be excluded for this edition. Typically, cities that make it into the published ranking have either a full dataset or only minor gaps. If you have diligently filled most fields but maybe left 5 to 10% blank due to no info, that city will likely still appear with no penalty, aside from perhaps a slightly lower score if those indicators can't be counted. So don't be disheartened if you can't get 100% completion. Just get as close as reasonably possible. Finally, if at any stage you have questions or need help, reach out to us via email. We aim to reply to everyone, though response times can vary. If we don't respond immediately, we will as soon as we can. Don't hesitate to send a reminder if something seems urgent. You've now learned the key aspects of being a Happy City Index researcher, from the vision and structure of the index, through the meticulous data collection process, to the practical tips on how to source information and fill out the form. We hope this narrative has been clear and supportive. Think of it as your friendly guide in this journey towards mapping happiness in cities. Before we wrap up, we want to thank you sincerely for your commitment and contribution. You are joining a global team of passionate individuals who collectively make this project possible. It's volunteers like you who enable us to cover so many cities and ensure that our index is truly global and inclusive. Your hard work will directly feed into a final product that has real-world impact. City leaders, urban planners, researchers, and citizens around the world will eagerly read our 2026 Happy City Index report. As mentioned, even prime ministers and presidents of various countries take note of these findings. The results of your work will be read by decision makers at the highest levels and by millions of people across the globe. By providing accurate data and insights, you are helping to shine a light on what cities are doing well and what can be improved, ultimately guiding efforts to make urban life better for everyone. We are excited to see the outcome of your research. Every dataset you submit is a piece of a much larger puzzle that, when put together, shows us how happiness can be fostered in urban environments. The upcoming months will involve dedication and learning, but also the satisfaction of knowing your work matters deeply. So let's get started. Use the provided link to access your data entry form, log in with your email, and begin your research on your city. Take it step by step. If you run into any hurdles, you know what to do. Refer back to this guide and keep in touch with us. Thank you once again for being part of the Happy City Index initiative. Together, we'll gather knowledge that celebrates cities striving for happiness and helps other cities learn from the best. Now, it's time to roll up your sleeves and embark on this meaningful research journey. Good luck and happy researching!